Greetings, everyone. This is the Crucial Podcast. I am Matt Bailey.
And I will one day be known as Ellis Gainsborough.
So, we were out talking a little earlier, enjoying a fine piece of American tobacco outside of your house here in lovely Georgia. And it came up about James Bond movies.
Right.
You a James Bond fan?
I am. I do like James Bond. It's one of those movie series that gets really silly and stupid at certain times, but takes itself very seriously. As far as like the integrity of the world that it inhabits, kind of like The Simpsons, the rubber band kind of reality.
Well, okay. So I gotta make a confession here.
Right.
I've never seen a James Bond movie. Not 1 second of a James Bond movie.
Right.
So, I guess what I should ask, who is... I'll tell you what I know about James Bond. And you could tell me, just based off of pop culture and every other thing, how close or off the mark I am.
Right.
So, James Bond's a British guy.
Yes.
He's a secret agent kind of dude.
He is.
He has a lot of gadgets.
He does. Most of the time.
And he goes around solving crimes?
Generally the stakes are a little bit higher than that. It's usually like, oh, somebody has infiltrated MI6 and...
What is MI6?
MI6 is a British intelligence
Oh.
network.
You figure I probably know that, but...
Yeah. No, so it exists in kind of a place where it is MI6, but it's not MI6. So if you take that like CTU, it might as well be called
from 24.
the
Okay.
Bureau of Fantastic Cases.
So it's their crazy intelligence organization.
Right.
And he takes them down?
He takes them down or props them up or helps them out. And basically...
It doesn't make any sense.
Anytime there's a supervillain that wants to turn all of Europe into gold, or all the dogs into bacon, he's the guy that the Queen calls. And
okay, hang on. So the Queen of England, calls James Bond.
Well, she calls M.
Who the fuck is M?
M runs the whole spy network, right? So you have M at the top.
So is M like okay? So you know where I get most of my James Bond knowledge from is Austin Powers.
Well, yeah.
So M's the old British dude who calls James Bond up, just like in Austin Powers. He's got the old guy that, hello, Austin.
Yes, exactly. Except for now, she's Judi Dench. So it's a lady.
M's a she.
M's a she. Yes.
Okay. Is it a she in Austin Powers? I haven't seen those movies in a long time.
No, it's not in Austin Powers. It's not a she in Austin Powers.
Okay. So the Queen calls up to M.
So okay,
who does
like
who
the
does
guy
M work
who
for?
So in Austin Powers, the guy who actually gives the missions.
Yeah.
Fucking the voice box, right? If you're Charlie's Angels.
Yeah.
That guy is M. And then like Basil Exposition, the guy with the gadgets, in Bond, that's Q.
Yeah,
and so
M?
he's just a guy called Q.
So you have M and you have Q.
We'll see, they're secret agents.
Who do they work for?
Britain.
Okay, so M and Q just work for Britain.
They just work
Queen's
for Britain.
got them on speed dial.
Yes.
She's got them saved in her favorites on the phone.
Absolutely.
She dials up. Hello, M.
Right.
We need James Bond again. The MI6 is out of control.
Right, and so Bond is a position. So there are numerous James Bonds, and then in each movie...
Hang on a minute. James...
007.
James Bond's a guy.
Agent 007.
I looked on the movie boxes on the internet prior to doing this, and there's guys on the box. So you're telling me James Bond could be anybody and everybody. Is that how they get away with having different actors be him?
It's kind of a Doctor Who thing, where some of the movies have a canon where it's supposed to be the same Bond, but most of the time 007 is taken as a position. So there will be a new 007, and he's always under the handle of James Bond. So
Why do they go to him? Why don't they go to 006?
Well, because when you want to take on a madman that's trying to topple the world with some space laser, you want the best secret agent that you can get, and that's always him.
So it's always by 007 is always the best. Why? Yeah. All right, what is 007?
What is 007? It's just his title, his handle.
Okay, so I thought his handle was James Bond.
It's also that. They're both.
It's 007 / James Bond.
Yes. He goes under the name James Bond and the call sign 007.
Oh, okay.
Agent 007, James Bond.
Okay, so... All right. So
he essentially does not have...
M and Q work for Britain. We don't know who they work for?
No, they work for MI6.
Why would he be trying to take down people within his own organization?
No, he doesn't try to take down people in MI6.
He said he helps or he doesn't help or he...
Well, because there are also stories like he was out on a case and things went wrong and they sold him out, so now he's got to take down the ones he fought with.
Did M and Q ever sell him out?
No, Q's always on the...
So Q gives him his stuff.
He gives him the car.
M gives him the mission.
Yeah.
And then...
Like, basically, most Bond movies go like this. There's the setup at the beginning with the song, right? Every Bond movie has a song. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Adele sings, and there's silhouettes and hot ladies dancing.
Sure.
And then the setup comes in, you see the villain, they're doing shit, and you know it's bad. And then they cut to wherever Bond is there. Then they go in, he gets the mission, he talks to Moneypenny, which we'll come back to.
Okay.
That's his secretary that he never sleeps with. That's a thing.
Okay.
And then he gets all of his gadgets, and then he goes out. There's a twist. He either gets the bad guy, or the story resolves some other way, and that's it. And then he has sex, and the credits roll.
Okay.
And that's a Bond movie in a nutshell.
Okay, so M and Q work for MI6. Who is it really the Queen, or are you just being facetious?
I am, kind of. They work for Britain. And I don't even know if they're technically part of MI6, but they say MI6 a lot. If there was a real world entity that it was tied to, it would be that.
Okay, alright, so...
But there aren't actually super spies, right? So,
alright, so Bond gets the phone call, he gets his gadgets, he talks to Moneybags, and then...
to Moneybags, Uncle Pennybags.
Uncle Pennybags, yeah, the hot secretary, Uncle Pennybags.
Watch out for that jail, Tom.
So, what... Okay, there's a lot to get to here.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a massive franchise.
Yes.
They've been making movies since the 60s, right?
Yeah.
So, and all the way up till now, I mean, what was the most recent one?
Skyfall.
And okay, so I'll ask you about the dudes who played Bond in a little bit, but all right, so something happens. So I'm sure in the 60s it would have been, God knows what, it could have been anything. I'm sure today it has something to do with some type of Central European. So if I had to guess about the script of Skyfall, something happens in either Central Europe or the Middle East.
Skyfall is actually a weird one. It more deals with Bond himself.
Son of a bitch.
So yeah, it's like all I want to say, except for the Javier Bardem part, which I don't remember where he was supposed to be.
Okay, let me just...
But it was mostly
I'm trying to just get my basics down before I delve into this.
The basics are, he wears the tux.
Yeah, I'm not there yet.
Okay.
He's... Okay. Bond, there's some type of international crisis.
Yes.
So, in classic action movie form, there's a bad guy who's doing some bad stuff.
Yep.
Britain knows about it.
Sure.
And they put in a call, and somehow in the bureaucracy of MI6, they go, well, this is a 007 thing, so we're gonna give it to Bond 007. He's gonna go solve it by himself. And then he does. There's a couple of plot twists. He always meets some chick that he fornicates with a lot, and then he always ends up doing his thing. Okay, so that's the basic. It's a basic action movie kind of plot.
Yeah, it's a one-man army.
Yeah, okay, but so where... how does one become Bond?
Nobody really knows. They don't go into that very much. There have been a couple of movies where they either make nod to the fact that they may acknowledge that a Bond died and was replaced, and then in the new Bond films with Daniel Craig, Skyfall is all about him aging out, burning out, having a hard time keeping up with the job. And so they kind of cover that. But they never just come right out and say, like, this is how a Bond is made.
So we don't know.
You never see a training montage of a guy becoming Bond.
He's just already Bond. They haven't... Bond. Which is pretty hard to believe in this day and age of film. There hasn't been a Bond prequel film.
Or an origin story.
Yeah. So he's just there. He's Bond. What does Bond do when he's not being Bond? I mean, is he just hanging out, kicking it by the pool, or?
Oh yeah, he's out in the islands, on the beach with whatever
is he well paid?
He's around. I think it's one of those, we have funds and, passports and shit, put on a mustache, and here's the black bottomless credit card.
So he's just...
he's on the payroll.
So whereas Rambo goes to Asian fight camps...
Right.
And fights to pay his penance, Bond's just living a playboy lifestyle on some exotic island somewhere until there's an international crisis.
Absolutely.
So is he training this whole time? Is he keeping his skills sharp?
Yes. He's like an unironic Sterling Archer. Right? Okay. So he rolls over the hot lady, draws his gun, and puts one between the baby blues of the guy who's kicking in the door to take him out.
Okay.
That's his life.
All right, and he wears a tux.
He wears a tux.
That's not the most comfortable outfit for super agenting.
Oh, it's perfect, though, for karate fights and helicopter explosions and running from dogs. Why wouldn't he wear some type of,
practical outfit?
Well, because that's not Bond. Why? That's like saying, why doesn't Batman just wear some gym shorts?
All right. But no.
It is.
Because the whole Bat image, one, is practical. The suit protects him.
Yeah.
And then two, it's supposed to instill fear into someone. So the Batman suit's different because there's nothing protective about a tuxedo unless there's stuff built into the tuxedo that's like some of those gadgets, and he can reach into his breast pocket and pull out his lapel and... Achoo! And he sneezes, and all of a sudden, a bridge explodes.
Sure. But every hero dresses for their environment, and whereas Batman is out on the streets of Gotham beating the shit out of kids wearing hockey pads in the dark, Bond is always at high-priced poker games, and he's always after the smoky Chinese, informant noir character. It's all high class.
So he's always got to go to some kind of party.
Even the bad guys, they're all the top of the crust, right? They're the cream of the crop.
So they're not using him to go after the mid-level guy.
No, it's all blue bloods.
He's going after the guy behind the guy.
Right.
And he has to dig to that guy. I'm sure he starts with some lower mid-level dude, some kind of lieutenant, and then he works his way to the main guy.
Yeah, there's usually a where are they scene,
Okay, and so he goes and sees Uncle Pennybags.
Moneypenny.
Yeah, Uncle Moneypenny, and she's
She's the secretary of the office.
Okay.
She's the only woman that Bond won't sleep with.
Is she... How did she get her job?
I have no idea. She's just Moneypenny.
Did they ever explain... I mean, she doesn't change out, right? Her position is not... Uncle Moneypenny is not immaterial. I mean...
Actresses change, but she's always in the same position.
So it's almost like Alfred.
It's exactly like
so
Alfred.
She's his Alfred.
Bond is like a whole movie of Alfreds. Everyone in a Bond film is an Alfred, basically. Except for the villain du jour.
But is she paid by MI6?
Yeah.
Not by Bond?
No.
So she's paid by MI6 too. Is she kind of badass?
No, Moneypenny always works in the office and wants desperately to sleep with him, but he won't do it.
So she wants to sleep with him.
Oh yeah, they have a big flirt thing. That's
she's
Bond thing.
She's pretty attractive.
Oh yeah, she's always cute as a button. But
I mean, but what kind of cute is it? Is it like breasts popping out of a turtleneck cute, or is it?
No.
Is it kind of it'd be the sweet girl. It'd be the Katie Holmes, the I don't know. Pick your act. The girlfriend actress. It's not. You know, I don't
She's
know.
not a bombshell.
Okay, so she's just a good, nice gal who helps him out with whatever he needs. What does she do again?
She's the secretary at the office when he goes in to get his mission.
So she gets the call. She picks up. She's like, is she British too?
Yes.
Okay.
Most everyone's British.
Hello, this is Uncle Pennywinkle.
Right.
Call here for James Bond. Sorry, you have the wrong number.
And then she gets the real call from M.
Right.
Oh, hello, Em. How are things? What's your origin? I was wondering.
He's like, shut up. No one's supposed to ask those kinds of questions. Plot holes. There's too many.
I was like, oh, do you have another mission for 007?
And
Right.
and then
He's like, hang on a minute. I believe 007's taking a 002 right now.
and then he's got to call back. And why do they need Uncle Pennywinkle?
No, it's more when he comes into the office, she's there and she pushes him up against the wall and have you been, James? And and she makes her move on him and then he face palms her.
She always tells him
back.
about the missions by seduction.
No, she doesn't tell him the missions. She's just the secretary.
She just gets the phone call. Like she puts him up against the wall, puts her hand down his pants.
Yes, he has to go through her to get the mission.
Oh, 007?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, one of M's catchphrases is they always end up spotting him having sex for some reason on the surveillance or like the heat vision. And Judi Dench, one of her catchphrases is, oh, 007. Like, it's...
But never with Uncle Pennybags.
No.
Okay, so she gets the phone call. She just... What the fuck does she do all the time? So they're both the British government, and you wonder why their frickin' empire failed. They keep two people on salary for worst case scenario stuff. I get Bond himself, whatever. Dude's got to keep his tuxedos ready, and he's going to the dry cleaner. I mean, guy's pretty busy. But his secretary really doesn't do shit, it sounds like, except for take a phone call to go,
oh, you need to call Em back.
Well, that's the thing. Like, who knows what they're doing in the office when he's not there? I mean, that's kind of the folly of the whole superhero thing. No matter what form it takes, is what all these people in their network do when they're not around or on the job.
Yeah, but with Alfred, he's the butler, so he's got plenty of shit to do.
That's why Batman works.
Or in Superman, they're what's it called? They're news reporters.
Yeah.
So they're reporting the news. They have day jobs.
Right.
So 007 doesn't have a day job, but I'm okay with that because he's got to train, he's got to recover, and he's got to take a little vacation time because he earned it up, But
well, I mean, there are other agents, right?
I would think there's at least 6 others.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, so you got a whole staff of these people.
Right. We just watched the ones about him.
Okay. So, I mean, there's a lot of big events going on, but if he stops major events, so if he stops the nuclear bomb from going off in Taiwan, then good for Bond. I still don't know how she's justified.
Well, because you have to have somebody to greet everyone at the door. And
no, you don't. We have cell phones. Why don't they just? Why does
Sean Connery didn't have cell phones?
Well, okay.
He had a phone in the car.
Okay, yeah. But I mean, I would think that there's some type of way to get a hold of somebody. Even in the 60s, when this thing started, they could have put in a fax or left a message or whatever.
Because nobody had secretaries in the 60s.
That's not what I'm saying.
Especially not in government organizations.
Secretaries might work in a government organization where they're going to be there all the time and all day and they have 100 things going on and you're getting 100 phone calls. It sounds like he's only getting a phone call when it's his turn on the shit list. When 006, because 006 is on paternity leave because, his wife, got knocked up or whatever, and so she's having a baby, and 06 said, all right, let's call 007, it's his turn, he's on the thing. I get it, but she's not doing anything the whole time. So Uncle Pennybags is worthless, and she just comes in, and she's trying to bring him down, and she knows he's got things to do, and she has one job in life. Her one job is to go,
oh, James, I forgot to tell you, Em called.
He could just go, yeah, I know he called because he sent me a text.
Right. Yeah, but
and I keep calling him a him.
Fucking Sean Connery wasn't getting called in by text every day.
But he would at least, I assume he goes to his office once a day.
Why do I need that secretary? I'll just send teletype.
I mean, because what happens, because God forbid, I mean, what are her hours like? She's sitting in the office 24/7? I assume not. So,
that's what I'm saying. Like,
so what happens
I think you got the wrong idea. She's not his secretary. She's the secretary at the office where he goes to get the mission.
Oh!
He has to go through her to get the mission.
I thought he was just hanging out on Crete.
She's not his private...
Cliff diving, because I assume James Bond cliff dives. And so he's down on Crete, cliff diving. So she just works at the office. So he goes by the office and goes... How does he know to go to the office then?
Because they call.
I stumped you.
I see your point. Well, considering that it's all just a device for a running gag, that generally takes up 2 minutes of the movie.
So you don't see Uncle Pennybags for too long.
You're not too worried about why Moneypenny's around when he's driving cars with cell phones and flying to the moon.
Okay, so she's just pretty much there in the beginning.
Oh, hello, James. It's Uncle Pennybags.
Right.
Just, here's your mission for the day. Call him. He'll tell you. I don't know. I'm not really doing much of anything other than trying to seduce you. Yeah. Lots of people will wonder if we've ever fornicated.
Okay, so he gets his mission. He wears his tux. He goes out. So, talk to me about Q.
Okay. I think I'm getting that right. Q is the device guy. I hope I'm getting that right.
So he gives them all the stuff.
Yeah, and I think they changed him to R.
R?
One of the actors died.
Okay.
John Cleese played that character for a while.
Okay.
Actually,
so
he was really funny.
So he's R. Q or R. So he has a gadgets guy. How does he know which gadgets he needs? Just depending on the mission?
It's always a grab bag every movie. And
do you put him in a backpack?
No, it's always different shit. Like, here's a briefcase that may smoke, and here's, like you said, the pen,
so when he goes into the meeting,
blows up the world.
He can pop up his briefcase and it knocks everybody out or whatever.
Right.
So there's always something practical. He wears a pair of glasses that can spy cam or something like that.
And after the first couple of movies, one of the deals is while he's showing him all the stuff he's going to be using in that movie, which is definitely like a Chekhov's gun thing of like, how is he going to use...
What kind of guns does he use?
The fucking PP7 or what is it, a PP9? The pistol?
So he uses a pistol. He doesn't like roll in with a rifle or with like a machine gun.
See him pick up a machine gun at some point.
But he's not walking around in his tux because that would be pretty ostentatious.
Remember the joke in Austin Powers where he pulls the little silver pistol out and then he's like, "Oh, I am safe. I have my gun." And then she pulls out the huge deagle. Yeah. And so like that gun is a direct.
So he uses his pistol and then just a variety of things. He goes out. He solves his mission. Okay, so there's always a girl.
But going back to the tech stuff, the whole deal with the tech scene while he's setting up Chekhov's shit, the slinky and how's he going to use the car and all this bullshit.
Is a lot of it a surprise?
Yes. It's always like set up the devices, see how they work, and then wait to see how they come into play in the movie, like during the course of the mission. So,
but you know everything up front? Is there ever a surprise where you're just like, oh, I didn't know you had that?
They will sometimes, but during the background, he's always explaining how all the things work and showing off the tech while they're walking through the R&D department.
Okay.
So there's always shit going on in the background.
Okay.
Like devices not working right and people getting exploded and weird shit like that. And depending on the movie, it can be super silly or more serious.
And I mean, I assume in the 60s and it was probably in the 80s. It was probably pretty freaking ridiculous.
That's like a big part of the Bond formula.
So you hear the term Bond girl.
Yes.
Is it typically just one girl?
Usually. I want to say there was a movie that had twins.
Twins?
But I may be blurring with Austin Powers.
Okay, so there's a Bond girl.
There's always a Bond girl, though.
This is... Because if I've learned anything from the Austin Powers movies, she usually double crosses him. He always sleeps with her.
It's usually, he sleeps with her, and she double crosses him, or something, or she gets involved, and almost without fail gets killed.
Okay.
One way or another. Which is part of the reason why he never sleeps with Uncle Moneybags.
Uncle Moneybags,
because you don't want her catching one.
Yeah. So the Bond girl always dies?
A lot of the time.
Okay, so the Bond girl dies. Who have been some of the famous Bond girls in history?
Oh, God. Halle Berry was a more recent one. I'm going to be really bad at being able to pull names out of the old Bond movies.
So Halle Berry was a Bond girl. Was that like a big thing because she's African American, or?
I think by that was a Brosnan. So I think by that point, it wasn't really a big hullabaloo.
It was okay.
But it was like, oh, it's Halle Berry.
Okay, so I'm looking. I got on the. You ever use this website, Google?
Yeah, I love it.
It's pretty good.
Also, Wikipedia. If you've never heard of it,
I've heard some stuff. I'm trying to see.
Ursula Andress.
Yeah,
she's a big one.
Okay. What's Octopussy? Is that a Bond girl? Is she a Bond girl?
This is embarrassing. I don't remember if there's actually a character called... Yes, title character Octopussy.
So, Denise Richards, she was a Bond girl, right? And
yes, she was.
And Terry Hatcher?
Yes, Terry Hatcher too.
Okay, so I don't know a lot of these Bond girls. So they're just
happened 70s and 80s.
They're just seductive temptresses. Okay,
got it. Well, most of femme fatales.
Yeah. So let's look at the Bond actors themselves, because you hear people argue about the Bond eras, and some people say, "Oh, well, there's always that one guy." So like everybody goes back to Connery, right? Mm-hmm. Was he the first?
I believe so. I can't remember. There are a couple of Bond movies where an actor only played Bond once, and I don't remember if the single movie came out before Dr. No or after.
Well,
generally Sean Connery's one of the big ones.
Who's your favorite Bond? And why?
That's I don't know. That's kind of a tough question. Honestly, because I kind of have always liked the Bond movies as more of a cartoon. Like, I think they're funny and fun.
Yeah.
I've never really taken the characters super serious.
Sure.
Either Sean Connery from the first two that he was in, or Daniel Craig in Skyfall. I actually really liked Skyfall because it wasn't fun, and I actually think it's not a good Bond movie. I think it's just a good action movie.
So Daniel Craig's the new guy. It's the blonde guy.
Craig's current. Yeah.
Blonde hair, blue eye guy.
Right.
And he's a little bit more... Is it realistic, or it's just not... He's not as suave, or...
It's not...
It sounds more human from what you're saying.
They focus on a more human story, but it's not realistic at all. When you're defibrillating yourself out of your glove box in your car, that's not realistic.
He defibrillates himself?
Yes, out of the glove box.
How does that work if your
after
heart stops?
He gets to the car? Well, exactly.
So he gets all blown up and beat up, and then he goes and revives himself?
Literally pops the glove box, sticks the things on his own chest, and presses the button.
So I'm going to just list off, because I'm on that website you told me about, Wikipedia.
Yeah.
I have a list of all the James Bonds.
Okay.
So I'll call out a name, and you just give me your thoughts on these actors as Bond.
All right.
Sean Connery.
More serious type Bond, but a dated take on a character, because his womanizing and his debonair attitude is really thick.
But I mean, is that just... Would it have been dated at the time?
No.
Or it's just dated now?
It's dated now.
So it would have fit right in at the time.
You would never slide up to a bar and throw money down on a poker hand you had nothing to do with, and
Does he only sleep with the Bond girls? Or does he sleep with other girls?
The Sean Connery era, he sleeps with anything that moves.
Oh, okay, so he's just laying waste.
He's humping the furniture.
Okay. Are the 60s movies really dated, though, in general?
Well, I mean, when you look at the dash phone in the car, and it's a fucking CRT,
the technology,
okay, and it's a how would this even work anyway?
Okay, so I'm going to come back to that because I want to get back to these list of Bond names. David Niven, he played Bond in one movie in '67.
Yeah, the one-shot Bond actors I'm not as familiar with.
Casino Royale.
I've only seen the original Casino Royale once.
Okay.
And I don't recall.
So you didn't do much for it.
It's very, very 60s. It's the most 60s of the Bond movies to me.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Then you got this other dude, George Lazenby.
Mm-hmm. Also not as big on him.
Okay, so not a lot of thoughts on him. Roger Moore, that's a big name, right?
Roger Moore is the spoofier stuff. The very,
he looks like a dick.
He's very silly. To me, it's very silly. Like things in that movie happen. Like he literally fights.
Well, he was in a lot of the movies.
Yes, there are a few Roger Moores.
Yeah, he was Bond for 12 years.
Yeah.
So he had.
But the
longest run of being Bond.
Yeah, but they're like some of his movies get so silly. Like he literally fights the hockey players in the hockey rink, and the Zamboni comes out, and he
like
skis. He skis down the slope and runs through the cake and shit. Like,
not Face Off, sudden
really
death.
Goofy. Yes.
Does he ever play the goalie? He's like in a tux but has a goalie mask on.
Yeah, it's literally the sequence where he dusts off like one or two, and then there's the for real guy in the group, you know? There's always the last dude.
So that's Roger Moore. What about Timothy Dalton?
I actually rather like Timothy Dalton.
Why?
He's a little bit more of a straight take on it as well, but I forget, give me that movie.
He was in from 96 to 86 to 94, rather. I don't know all the movies that he was in. So it would have been The Living Daylights, License to Kill.
Yeah, On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
No, just The Living Daylights and License to Kill.
Oh, okay. I'd like License to Kill.
Okay. So that's your good one for Timothy Dalton.
Yeah.
And then the first Bond I remember, Pierce Brosnan.
Right.
He was in a lot of Bond movies. He had
Goldeneye.
Yeah, Tomorrow Never Dies. The World Is Not Enough. Die Another Day.
Yeah. He's the one I'm most familiar with, just because they came out when they did. And,
is he better in Bond or Mrs. Doubtfire?
Well, better in Bond. He's just a foil in Mrs. Doubtfire. He says, 3 words in the whole thing?
Well, he takes him out to the pool. He's the pretty boy.
Mm-hmm.
Was he Bond? I mean, oh my god. Was Pierce Brosnan, is that what Bond does during his downtime?
Is take other people's wives and kids out.
Yeah, and Robin Williams plays a foil? Is that...
Yeah, Robin Williams is the fool in that one.
Yeah, maybe...
He may have hit me with a line, but I've been bagging your wife for 3 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, I don't know. Pierce Brosnan, to me, I mean, he seems like a Bond. He seems like a British secret agent.
I like him. He's a little bit more wink to the camera. Not goofy, but definitely not dry either. Like, when you have a sequence where a tank drifts around a turn.
Well, tanks
again, not realism.
No, I'm pretty sure tanks are known for their handling.
They're known for their slick track moves.
And then finally, we already talked about Daniel Craig a little bit.
Yeah.
But you like him. And now they named the new guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's a guy from The Wire.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't heard about that.
He's African American. He's going to be the first African American Bond.
Ah, cool.
And I don't know his name right now, but yeah, it's supposed to be pretty good. Will an African American Bond work?
I don't see any reason why not. To me, that's kind of a non-issue. I really don't care when people are also all up in arms about the Marvel thing with Thor, changing Thor to a female character.
Yeah.
And I really care more about the movie. Because like I said, when you ask, like, oh, what's your favorite Bond? I really kind of just like the different flavors of the movies. Because like Daniel Craig, I liked Skyfall, but that was because it was really dark. And just kind of a more trying Bond film to watch. It was less of a roller coaster. But I don't really care for Daniel Craig specifically.
Okay.
I just like that movie.
He doesn't strike me as a Bond.
Because the new Casino Royale, I did not like at all.
Like, for what I know about Bond, Daniel Craig doesn't really seem like a traditional James Bond suave.
No, he's not suave. He's more like a
date rape.
In a movie. This is going to sound really bad after that, but just kind of more like an actual action guy, like an actual soldier type that the movies are going for, which is still not realistic because he's too damn thin. But
okay.
But you know what I'm saying? The Jack Bauer type.
Yeah.
I'm grizzled. I'm real.
Okay. And so the guy's name that I was trying to think of is Idris Elba.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not confirmed yet, just heavily rumored to be playing the next Bond. If you could make any actor Bond, is there anybody you think, oh man, this dude would be awesome as James Bond?
I don't. Bond to me is just kind of a concept. He just is.
Is it high grade acting? I mean, is Bond ever going to win an Oscar?
No. I mean, well, you say that, and the Joker took Best Supporting, but is it every day that you get something like that to happen in an action movie? No.
So it's just not what Bond is. Bond's a little bit more popcorn.
Oh, it's for sure. Like, knowing you and your action thing, like, they're not your biggest cup of tea.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest action fan.
I would say that most of them are not taken as seriously as even Die Hard.
Okay. What about
their rides?
What about the bad guys? Are they, because what I know about the bad guys is based on Austin Powers, so are they as ridiculous as Dr. Evil?
I would say that the Austin Powers send-ups of Bond villains were completely fair. Absolutely fair.
Really that ridiculous?
Jaws literally has big glittering teeth in his face, and his name is Jaws.
And he's an upper crust bad guy?
He's actually one of the strong men. He's not the mastermind in that movie.
Who's Dr. Evil based on?
I think Dr. Evil is a composite of Dr. No and I can't freaking remember the name of the villain, but mostly just Dr. No.
Does he have a annoying son?
No. I think it's just a look. It's really vague.
Does he have a mini him?
No, but Random Task is a direct parody of Odd Job. Odd Job being the Bond character that throws a hat.
Yeah.
And then Random Task through the shoe.
Yeah.
Right. So the hat literally would cut people's head off. Like, that was in Bond and totally played straight up.
What about Fat Bastard?
No.
That's just a ridiculous...
It's just a ridiculous thing. No. I think he's more just a Michael Myers character. I think if Fat Bastard had been in So I Married an Axe Murderer, nobody would have batted an eye.
Okay. So, if I was going to start with Bond movies, could I go back to the very first one with Sean Connery and start watching and go, oh, this is great?
Honestly, for you and I, if we were going to sit down and watch a Bond movie and have a good time, I would go Roger Moore just because they're funnier, they're ridiculous, the action sequences are really ridiculous and silly. Like watching Commando, where the movie knows it's a stupid action movie and that's the fun of it.
Okay.
So if we were going to sit down to watch one, knowing that you're not so much on the action bit, much more fun to watch the Roger Moore. You're always going to, because even if you don't like it, you're going to laugh at it. So it's a good time.
Well, I got to say, no James Bond for me.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to make it through my life okay without James Bond.
Yeah.
You're a horrible Bond salesman.
I think that a lot of people take those movies really seriously, and like I said, I've always liked them. Even when they're being taken the most serious, Casino Royale was always a satire. It was originally conceived as a satire. James Bond was a satire. And so Austin Powers is a satire of a satire.
Yeah.
And you just kind of forget that.
Well, they don't need my help. I mean, they make a ton of money without my business. And they used to have the marathons on TV, on TBS, the whatever it was called, James Bond marathons.
Bond for Days.
Bond for Day, whatever. It would always come on TBS and people would be really excited. And, I never cared.
Yeah, I've never been super huge on them. I think they're fun, but that's about it. I would never be like, oh, this Bond movie is top 20 movies before you die. You know, it'll never be that for me, but they're fun.
Well, I'm just going to go back home and go play some GoldenEye, and that'll be that.
Play some GoldenEye, split screen, one-hit kills, DK mode.
All right, well, that's Crucial Podcast for this week.